AI doomers are lying to you and they're absolutely wrong. And just recently, the CEO of Goldman Sachs created an essay saying how the AI job apocalypse is overblown as software engineering jobs go through the roof. And this is something I've been trying to tell people for a very long time. And if you read the Goldman Sachs CEO essay, which I will link in the comments below, he says some of the same things I've been trying to tell people, which is number one, that AI will enable workers in companies to solve bigger and more complex tasks. It would be such a long shot if AI was the technology that just wiped out all the jobs on Earth and solved every single problem without humans. And you just have to go back and study evolution or just ask ChatGPT about humans and how they evolved. And humans are undefeated in solving problems. They started solving small problems first, and then they started solving a bigger and bigger problems at scale, and the scale keeps getting bigger. All you have to do is look at the SpaceX IPO as an example. Now we are looking to space to solve some of the universe's biggest mysteries. And if you also go back, you'll notice that the doomers have been wrong. They've been around forever. It's not like doomers just showed up during the age of AI. They've been saying the end is nigh for a very, very long time. And guess what? We're still here and we are still fighting and solving problems. And the software engineering jobs going through the roof is the biggest tell in this whole thing, because everybody's coming out and saying, I haven't coded in forever and it's going to wipe out software engineers. Well, you can't wipe out some of the sharpest problem solvers in the world, the best system thinkers in the world. And now that AI coding tools has made it easy to basically create a website, it unlocks that brain power to focus on bigger and better things. Okay, so think about the trajectory of technology and the internet. When the internet came out, the killer app was the website, and you had all this mind share, this intellectual strength focused on building websites for companies so that they could make more money. Do you remember how complex it was to build a website? If you're watching this, you might be too young to remember, but it took a massive team to build a website of web developers collaborating with designers, collaborating with project managers, collaborating with content creators and marketers to launch a simple website. And guess what? That system actually is still prevalent with a lot of different agencies. A lot of companies still hire web development agencies to build websites, because guess what? Just because that is solved doesn't mean that all these web developer jobs are eliminated. You still need expertise to launch and manage the infrastructure of the website. Now, it's getting a lot easier, but the reason software engineering jobs are basically skyrocketing right now is because you need software engineers who understand systems and code to basically manage these agents and create applications that, are actually good with AI. And again, you watch my other video, I just released it, about how OpenAI and Anthropic just spent a combined $5.5 billion for consulting firms. Okay, why would you spend $5.5 billion for consulting firms if AI was going to take all these jobs? You need human capital, human mind share, and intellectual savagery in these consulting firms to build products, deploy the agents, manage the infra and keep optimizing and iterating on the data that comes in, because AI creates data. It creates more data that you can act on, and you can build bigger and better apps to solve bigger and better problems in these organizations. So the software engineering jobs going up is probably the canary in the coal mine, that this is just all media hype that big tech is pushing out to get attention, right? And the CEO of Goldman, he's a smart guy. He is probably very patient. He's in finance. When you're in finance, you think long term, and he kind of sees where the puck is moving. So from there, what's really going to happen with these jobs is you're going to have more product managers, or these roles are going to merge between product and marketing. For example, I was a marketer for most of my career. I've become a product guy and a marketer. I can do a little bit of both now. I'm still, my strength is still marketing, but I'm getting better at product as well. And yeah, you can say that those roles have merged, and maybe I don't need a product person right now. And yeah, maybe that's true, but what this is doing is unlocking the ability to solve these business problems that I was unable to solve before. If you look at the apps I'm building, CrimeAl and Root Data, they solve very specific problems in very difficult verticals that maybe lack the technical infrastructure that really was hard to pull off before AI came about. And now you can kind of solve these different problems. You can solve problems with the investigation process that really wasn't available to investigators in the past, right? You can solve data problems in dental analytics. Maybe the current tools aren't any good. It's, listen, if you go back and you look at technology, a lot of technology is just an iteration of old technology. They change one small thing with UX to improvement. Technology is just a new technique, right? But we're doing it with software and hardware, right? So you're changing the technique, which in turn you are changing the mindset of solving the problem. You're approaching the problem from a different angle that maybe people didn't think about before. So now AI lets us move much more quickly to solve these problems, and it frees up mental bandwidth to solve bigger problems. Like, look at SpaceX. We are actually very close to solving interplanetary space travel, and it's going to be accelerated with AI. Whether you think the SpaceX IPO is legit or not, the ability to solve that problem wasn't present when the government was focused on solving the problem before the emergence of AI. Now that space travel has moved to the private markets, it's been in the private markets for about 20 years now, and then you attach AI to it, it's going to accelerate it. You're talking about the last mile, which is one of the hardest things to solve in any piece of technology. You might get 90% of the way there, 95% of the way there, and you really need to hyper focus on getting to the next level, getting to Mars, creating a habitat on a different planet. Those are very intense problems to solve that take a lot of data, a lot of collaboration, and a lot of information you have to organize. And now with AI, you can kind of do that. The other thing is, it's like if we discover new materials and can build new things, that's going to take humans to do that. If we solve diseases or come up with more drugs to basically cure diseases, you're going to need people, human in the loop, to solve those problems, right? Let's just go to trucking. You might need more logistics people. If you have an AI with trucking and everything's safer, and you can take that human capital off the highways and the roads, and they can focus on logistics or something. The dental office, right? They have a lot of issues with process and data, but nobody really wants to go to a dental office right now and get their teeth done by a robot. It's still a scary experience, right? You need people, you need humans in the loop. There's all these technological advances that you could potentially solve with AI that will actually create more jobs if you can go into space and you can, tap into resources, water, metals, silver, gold, all this different stuff that's in space that maybe isn't, on Earth. You can maybe potentially do that with the creation of hardware with AI in it to basically send them into space to kind of find those things, right? So it's really just not as cut and dry as the end is near and AI is going to solve all problems forever. And listen, if you're a software engineer or you're building anything, there's more work than ever before. I'm not working less. My partner's not working less. There's no such thing as a 4-hour work week. That stuff was an MLM scheme back in the day, work 4 hours. The only people who really work 4 hours a week are the people who actually built something and then cashed out, right? A lot of people had to work 100 hours a week for the love of the game, right? I mean, look at Dana White. Look at any of these incredible startup founders. They just worked like dogs, but they loved it. You talk about athletes too. They work 100 hours a week on their body, keeping it in shape. This illusion of working less and potentially retiring and, going off in the sunset, that just was an unrealistic thing as it is. And the reason people like software engineers and myself are working so much is because we see so much opportunity now to solve. So I just wanted to make this video because the AI doomers consistently are wrong over and over and over again. And if you really look at the data points, you can kind of see through it. Now, of course, there's going to be disruption. There's going to be disruption in the job market. There's disruption at multiple different levels of technology. Look at all these data centers going up. But what if all these data centers are now forcing us to think about new ways to solve energy constraints, right? How is that going to affect interplanetary space travel and all these other things? And again, energy and unlocking these constraints, you're going to need more humans in the loop to solve that. It goes back to the radiology example where 10 years ago they said radiologists will disappear. Well, now that AI is so good at it, you have more radiologists than ever before. And we're going to see more of that with AI because it's going to clear a constraint in an industry, whether it's dentistry, healthcare, law, or something else. And these humans are going to move to another area to solve newer problems in those industries. So let me know what you guys think, and thank you, and have a good day.